Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Will Kern from Endless Events, back another time with a Whiteboard Wednesday. And today we're talking about how you can use Wi-Fi as a sponsorship asset. Far too often do we know when it comes to events, the cost of Wi-Fi is getting outrageous, right? I'm seeing things as high as $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 bills when it comes to Wi-Fi, or you're getting forced into using some sort of crappy Wi-Fi that's cheaper. We don't want that sort of thing. So what we want to do is figure out a way to either turn it into a revenue portion or even a profit center for your events, but also covering that cost so that way you can deliver a great event experience. So what I'm going to talk about is 4 really simple ways that you can turn Wi-Fi into an event sponsorship asset. And what's great about these things is they shouldn't cost you anything. And if they do cost you, maybe the venue is going to charge you to do 1 or 2 of these things. It should be very, very minimal because these are all super duper easy. So let's jump right on in. So whenever it comes to your Wi-Fi, you're pulling out your phone or you're pulling out your laptop and you want to connect to the Wi-Fi. What's the first thing you see when you're looking for that Wi-Fi? Well, that's the Wi-Fi network, right? When you're looking through and it says, lists all the Wi-Fi network names and everything like that. Well, that's a perfect opportunity for some branding and some sponsorship opportunities. Get a sponsor on board for naming the Wi-Fi network after them. So for example, in this case, we're going to use Red Bull as the example, so the network name will maybe name it as Red Bull Rocks. Or let's say, for example, you're advertising a destination. Name the Wi-Fi, Puerto Rico or whatever it may be. Name that Wi-Fi network after a sponsor. And what's great is everybody, and let's be honest, everybody connects to the Wi-Fi at the events. They're all going to see that name. Instant brand recognition. So that's pretty simple, right? That should take absolutely no time. A network engineer can do that in a snap. Super duper easy. Well, then there's the next thing, password. So many times, I got to preach this still. We talk about cybersecurity, and when it comes to events, far too often people are leaving their networks wide open and they're not putting a password on it. And we're not talking about the password for what a captive portal is, or like when you go in a web browser pops up and says enter the password, like when you connect to the hotel Wi-Fi or something like that. We're talking about the one that pops up natively in Windows or Mac immediately upon you connecting. So you always want to make sure that you have a password on the network. Reason why is it's going to secure it. It's going to make sure all the data across the entire channel is encrypted. And even if it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to make your network way more secure. Well, when it comes to putting a password on, don't just make it 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn it into another event sponsorship asset and give it another sponsorship. They can be the same thing tied into the name. So for example, if you had Red Bull sponsoring the name, maybe make the password gives you wings. Or let's say you make Puerto Rico and it's like, let's go to Puerto Rico is the password, for example. Really, really easy opportunity. And again, everyone's always going to be asking, what's the Wi-Fi password? Where do I get the Wi-Fi from? Yada, yada, yada. Well, here's another bonus tip for you as well. You could make it so the password has to be gathered by a sponsor. So for example, let's say Puerto Rico is a sponsor. Make it so everybody has to go to Puerto Rico's booth to get the Wi-Fi password. Sure, it's going to create a pretty big bottleneck at Puerto Rico's booth, but you know what's going to happen? They're going to get a ton of foot traffic right to their booth, which is pretty awesome. So again, put a password on your Wi-Fi, give it some branding, and turn it into another sponsorship asset. So these two, super duper easy. You're probably already renaming your network to like your conference name. You're probably already throwing a password on it anyways. Why not turn it into a sponsorship opportunity? Well, let's also then talk about another sponsorship opportunity, which is when everyone's asking about the password, let's say you don't put it in someone's booth, you're going to want to put posters all over the place that say what the password is. Again, another opportunity for branding. And instead of it just saying, conference name, the network name, or what we call SSID, and then the password, maybe say, the network name, the password, Wi-Fi brought to you by Red Bull or Puerto Rico or Endless or whatever it may be. And again, you're getting those sponsorship opportunities as well for someone who is obviously paying to be able to make that Wi-Fi happen as well. Super duper easy to do. Again, you're probably already doing this already. Just turn it into another sponsorship opportunity. Now the next one is a little bit more complex, but super duper powerful. And that is what's called a captive portal. And it was kind of what I was alluding to earlier when it comes to the password. For example, you connect into your hotel Wi-Fi, for example, and you find out that you connect and it says, hey, you need to put in your room number and your last name, for example. That's what called a captive portal. Whenever it's like a web browser based or when you connect to your phone, it automatically pops up over it. What's great about these captive portals is a couple things. First of all, is that very similarly, is that you can make the password a branding opportunity as well. But also these pages are 100% a web page, which means they're completely customizable. changing graphics, colors, theming, all that sort of stuff. So you can put logos on here. If you've ever been to an airport before, you can also have it set that, for example, they have to watch a video in order to continue on. Maybe you don't want to do that, so then they're having to watch a video in the middle of the general session when they're connecting. But again, lots of opportunities. It's a full web page, so there's a lot of really cool things. What I recommend, though, is that there you can install a very, very simple form on this. So not only can you make it so it has a password, but for example, you could do things like collect email addresses. Say, hey, in order to connect to the Wi-Fi, please give us your email address. Well, imagine if you make it as part of that, privacy policy and terms and conditions is that the user is agreeing to share their email address with the sponsor. The sponsor can send out a simple email and say, hey, thanks so much for attending. I hope you enjoyed the Wi-Fi. We were really happy to provide it, whatever it may be, right? Obviously, figure out what that play is, so then that way you're being really conscious of user data. But what's also great is you could add additional forms as well. For example, let's say you had a simple question about budget, like for example, what is your event budget? What, how much budget are you spending on this? You could add that as a question. You could do pretty much anything. You could make this an open field and say, like, tell us your favorite cat in the world. I don't know. There's a lot of different options when it comes to it, and obviously they submit and then can connect to the Wi-Fi. So these captive portals are pretty darn easy to create. Most network systems have a very simple version of it, so you can at least do things like email or a password or things like that. But if you want to add a little bit more complexity, things like video, things like, again, these aren't massively complex, and your network engineer should be able to do it relatively easily. Again, negotiate all this sort of stuff, as we always talk about, before you have your venue contract, so you can make sure it's included as part of your Wi-Fi package and everything that you do. But this can give you a huge opportunity, because if I'm a sponsor and I'm saying I'm putting, for example, $30,000 up to cover all of the Wi-Fi, and I know that I'm getting all these branding opportunities, plus I'm allowed to collect user data somehow and get some more feedback as far as how attendees are doing whatnot and this and that, I'm all in as a sponsor. I'm getting everything I want. I'm getting the branding. I'm getting the data. I'm getting the chance to be in front of every single attendee who's connecting their phone and laptop. And as we said before, everybody's doing that. So again, these are just 4 really, really simple and easy things that you can do to turn Wi-Fi from a cost center into a revenue and profit center for your events. So super duper cool. I would love to hear, do you have any other ideas when it comes to Wi-Fi, what you've done creatively to cover the cost when it comes to Wi-Fi at your events? I would love to hear it. Make sure to leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you disliked it, feel free to give a thumbs down, but leave a comment down below. What can we do better? What's, Will talking too fast? Who knows what it could be. I definitely want to hear from you guys. And if you really, really love this content, make sure to subscribe because we send this stuff out every single Wednesday. That's why we call it Whiteboard Wednesday. So make sure to subscribe, and we'd love to see you on the next one. Again, my name's Will Curran. This has been How to Use Wi-Fi as an Event Sponsorship Asset, Whiteboard Wednesday. Let's get out of here. Have a great day.